If you're struggling with capturing cinematic or captivating drone footage, it's probably because you're not using the right settings. You see, I've been flying drones for almost a decade now professionally, and I've made every mistake that a drone pilot could make. And I remember back when I started out, I would watch videos on YouTube or even Instagram, and I would wonder to myself, what do they know that I don't? Like, is there a secret to filming on drones that I don't know? And after much frustration and a lot of trial and error, I found the best settings to film on your drone no matter what time of day. So today I'm breaking down the exact settings that I like to use for these times of day, which is going to be your sunrise, your harsh afternoon daylight, and also your nighttime shoots. Now, the first thing I do before liftoff is switch over to D-Log. Now, the reason I do that, especially when it's a high-paying client, I want to make sure that I'm getting the best quality image that I can and the most dynamic range. And so when you're shooting in D-Log, you're able to manipulate a lot of the footage in post. And so if you're doing this for a client, I highly recommend you must be shooting in D-Log because color grading all of the footage is so much easier when you do. And then you also have the option to turn on the color assist mode. Now what this does, it gives you a better understanding of what the image is going to look like in post, because when you shoot in D-Log, you're going to need to use a conversion LUT. So when you add that conversion LUT in your footage in post, it's going to look exactly like it did when you're using that color assist mode. So I highly recommend always having that on so you know exactly the image that you're getting out of your camera. Now, if you know me or follow me on Instagram, then you know one of my favorite times to fly the drone is during sunrise. I think that's when you get some of the best colors and you don't have people bothering you as much. And so when I get my drone up during sunrise, these are the settings that I like to use that give me the best color, light, and shadows. Now, I usually always shoot in 30 frames a second because that's what Instagram requires. But if you're looking for more of that cinematic shot, or if you're doing it for YouTube or maybe a website video for a client, you could shoot in 24 frames a second. But since it's a sunrise and we're getting some good light being casted on the buildings, on everything else, I really just like to leave it at 30 frames a second because it looks best to me. Now, because this is sunrise, that means the sun is going to be in the shot at some point. So you'll want to make sure to have an ND filter. Now, because it isn't so bright at this time of the day, I like to have the lowest one that I have, which is an ND8. Now, what that does is whether I'm filming some buildings or people on the lake rowing, it cuts off a lot of the reflection that's coming from the water and from the buildings. But also, it allows me to keep my settings exactly the way that I want to. So if I'm shooting at 30 frames a second, I'm going to be at 1/60. And then I'm also going to have my ISO as low as possible, which more than likely will be about 100. Now, for all of the footage that we're going to be talking about today, I always like to shoot in 4K, mainly because if I'm cropping in, it's going to allow me to still get a really good image. Even if I have to do it 50%, it's still producing a 1080p image.